following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Big Yak Podcast. It is I, Nico Salem-Benny, for an emergency Thursday night broadcast to talk about the fallout of the Stefon Diggs trade to Texans. Alongside me is the Mr. Tajlik Collins Faison, right here in the flesh.
Hello.
Welcome back, Taj. How you doing today?
Doing good, fellow Vikings fan,
Another victim to Stefon Diggs.
I was the first.
I feel like we're like ex-girlfriends now.
Yeah, bro. Like I've been, I'm like, I'm trying to think of like a reference, John Tucker Must Die. You ever watch that movie?
Long time ago.
Like I'm that one girlfriend, you the other girlfriend. We're like we all want vengeance on Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, so Diggs was traded after another offseason filled with kind of mystery, some random like subtweets or what have you.
Mr.
Drama, I guess, for the lack of a way to put it.
Yeah,
after all that, traded over to Houston for him a fourth next year and a sixth this year.
A fifth next year.
A fifth next year, a sixth this year.
Yes. Yeah.
Just for Houston's 2025 second.
Yep.
I was going to say, looking back at the Stefon Diggs trade from Minnesota to Buffalo, now granted he was 4 years younger. He was kind of entering his prime, and now he's starting to leave his prime.
Yep.
Do you think the Bills got good value here?
All right, here's the thing. All right. I mean, I always get concerned, even if from a fantasy aspect, of a 30-year-old receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's going to be 31 in November, so he's kind of a little bit older. But I mean, he's still been productive. He had over 1,100 yards receiving this past year. I mean, people try to say he fell off towards the end of the season because his numbers weren't there, but he's still a productive person, and he's somebody you're going to get eyes on, and also he has a contract that's pretty hefty. So with that being said, I think maybe they could have got more for him, but we don't know if anything's wrong with him, if there's something concerning with his health or something where him and the organization and or the players weren't getting along. We don't know exactly. Everything's speculation at this point. So I want to say that he should be worth a first and maybe possibly a third or fourth or something like that, but I don't know.
And that's the thing, for the Bills to move on from him this season of all seasons, and only getting a second next year in return. I think the biggest thing right now is something happened behind closed doors between the organization, and maybe it's not as dramatic as what people or the media might make it sound out to be. Maybe it's something more of like he just requested a trade. He was ready for something new. You could tell that this team was kind of changing the guard in terms of a new defense, a lot of pieces on offense, kind of changing just the philosophy on offense changing.
With that being said, also, if he did request a trade, it's also about the timing. Like if he request a trade early in free agency, a lot of things could have been changed. They would have probably got more value for it because no one has moved yet and everything.
Right, we're already past the first two main waves of free agency, so a lot of outside of the draft, a lot of the big ticket names have already found their new homes.
So it's like, I think he definitely would have did. Bills would have got a lot more bang for their buck in that situation, and obviously with that being said, they also sacrificed a lot money-wise because we're talking about
$32 million in dead cap this year.
That's the biggest dead cap for a non-quarterback position ever.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that stat.
Yeah,
that's a confirmed stat.
Yes, because I think before obviously Russell Wilson taking this $80 million something like that, it was I think it was Aaron Rodgers for 40.
Again, two quarterbacks.
So two quarterbacks, and now this 31 point, whatever. it can hurt a franchise a lot especially when you're trying to get people get a good organization. I watched a little bit of Brandon Beane talking about what they have going up, and he's trusting the organization and the players that's still already on the team. But at the same time, it's like you need a number one. Like we talk.
I mean,
about,
this has to be clear and obvious. They're going to make another move for a receiver, whether it be through the draft or whether it be, I don't think it's going to be, but whether they do make a move for a guy like T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think if anything, they'd make more of a move towards a guy like Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, that's the guy that I think is perfect. And I actually recently was watching another podcast. I'm not going to name the podcast.
Name him.
But,
shout him out.
It was Shannon and Uncle
yes,
Shannon, the nightcap, and he was actually on there.
That's a really great show.
And he was talking, and they did like maybe a 10-15 minute interview, and he was talking about it, and he was just discussing how he's trying to let his agents handle that thing, but it's a little bit frustrating being a first round draft pick and being a person that has been productive. He had his best year as a 49er this past year,
right?
And so I think he might have been a Pro Bowler if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So and he's like, it's kind of frustrating because he wants to be able to do what he wants to do his job, but it's like we got to get this money thing right. So I think like a team like the Bills swooping in and like, we want this guy, we want to take this guy, but you also gonna have to pay him, and Bills' money is a little funny right now.
Right. And we don't know how exactly it looks. Brandon Beane in his press conference yesterday had mentioned he thinks that they're right now in the $3 million left in total room, but that's not including the Trey White release, which will open up after June 1st.
$10 million?
Another $10 million will open up. So, I mean, that's really just – a lot of that is just, reserve money in case guys get hurt during the season. Yeah. There's not really going to be that big-time signing at this point.
With that being said, if you did trade for a person like Ayuk or T. Higgins, now you got this person basically – they have to basically trust in themselves that they're going to have a good year, not get hurt, and then hopefully they get signed by this extended with this team. It's like
the way they'd have to do it, and knowing Brandon Beane and how much he loves to flex with his cap and kind of moving money around.
So you think back end type of thing.
Exactly, they're off the hook for Stefon Diggs now. Well, so yes, the $32 million is going to absolutely suck for the Bills next year. They're off the hook for the rest of his contract, and actually, Houston went ahead and voided the rest of Diggs' contract. Yeah. And then gave him an extra $3.5 million this upcoming season. So after next year, after his year with the Texans, he's going to be a free agent again.
Okay. 30.
So that means everything's gone. Yeah. So after next year, the Bills no longer owe any money to Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs is not tied to the books whatsoever. So all that being said, if they make a move for a guy like Brandon Ayuk, this year's cap hit, he's going into his fifth year, right? Yeah. So they can pay him as a fifth-year player and then have that extension not activate until next year after, honestly, just reallocate the money that was from Stefon Diggs and just put it into a new alpha receiver. And there's also the possibility that we could see the Bills take a big swing on draft day.
Yeah, hopefully. Speaking of draft day, I think this is actually a very talented draft. Obviously, quarterback positions-wise, but also receivers, too. So, like you were saying, they're taking a big swing. I don't know if they would do any type of moving up and trying to get a Malik Neighbors or anything. And that's really hard to do. I think, personally, he's my favorite draft pick in the draft.
Over Marvin Harrison?
Over Marvin
Harrison.
Really? I know.
Okay, that's a take.
But I do like – I think he's just an all-around great receiver. I've been watching highlights on this dude. I've been watching him throughout the season, but I watch him highlights throughout this.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people have said in a draft where Marvin Harrison isn't there, Neighbors would have been the clear number one. Yeah. He would have been the number one last year. He would have been the number one before that. He would have been the number one before that even. And now we're going into like the Jamar Chase.
Exactly. We're talking about the Chase area. Just so like, and it's funny. I was actually talking to somebody about this. Because of this draft class and these wide receivers being so good. Like I was just like, when's the last time we had a really good draft of wide receivers? And it's kind of funny because we were talking about 5 years and that year of the Brandon Ayuk and the Jettas and the CeeDee Lambs, and that was like a phenomenal year.
It's like every year, it's like another like top end, like top 5 wide receiver talent comes through, and I don't like. What are they feeding these kids nowadays?
They grow up so fast. That's all I got to say. They grow up fast.
I want to talk about this a little bit. Tom Brady. Did you see this?
He said it 2 years ago.
So 2 years ago, when Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen were all when they did the match, that 2v2 golf tournament. Tom Brady said this for anyone who didn't see this yet. They were kind of like cracking jokes, talking around. So basically, long story short, Tom Brady was like, I lost whoever. I forget who he said. I think it was he lost
Moss, maybe?
probably Randy Moss.
Okay, probably. I would assume some.
Aaron Rodgers lost Devontae Adams. Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill. Josh Allen, you're gonna lose someone sometime, and here we are.
Yeah.
2 years later, here we are.
I think it's just at this point, Josh is obviously an amazing talent. I know we always trying to be talking about the game changers and the game manager thing. I think Josh Allen is a game changer. So he obviously has a great amount of talent and everything. Now it's just be able to expend that talent and making people around you much better. And if I gotta be honest, other than Patrick Mahomes, I don't think there's any other quarterback in this league that can do it better than him as far as making somebody else better. I know everybody's like, oh yeah, he's losing his number one, or the people have been saying that he made him Stefon Diggs has made Josh a top talent, but I'm like, well, he's also elevated in these last 4 years. I mean, it's not like he's just sitting there like, oh, I haven't gotten better. I think when he got Stefon, he was in his third year, right?
It was year 3.
Year 3. So he's gotten better in 7 years. He's been able to elevate his game, rolling to the right, making those off bounce passes and breaking tackles, and now they're even trying to do the 1 yard run.
Oh, the tush push.
Tush push. They're pretty good at tush push. But he's elevated his game, and I think he's still gonna be a good quarterback. It's just now it's just making the people around you better, and it's just a matter of time to see who they get. And
all that being said, Stefon Diggs hasn't eclipsed a 100-yard game since week 6 of last year, and that was not when Joe Brady was calling plays. That was when Ken Dorsey was still calling plays. And if you take a look at Stefon Diggs from the Ken Dorsey era of 2023 versus the Joe Brady era of 2023, there was a dramatic dip in usage. I mean, for the first 4 or 5 weeks, 100 yards and then 66 yards, but that was a 38-10 win against the Raiders. 111 yards, 120 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Miami. And then they went to London, 121 yards and a touchdown. And then, New York Giants, week 6 was 100 yards. And that was it. That was his last 100-yard game.
Okay.
So, and then, of course, as we know, Ken Dorsey was then fired a couple weeks later. And since then, I mean, it was Stefon Diggs had 27 yards receiving, 24 yards, 29 yards, 26 yards.
Yeah, so obviously
he's become a non-factor, and the game kind of switched for the Bills offensively.
Yeah, he started running the game ball a lot more with Cook. And Josh started taking a little bit more swings as far as we're gonna do QB sneaks, QB draws and stuff like that. So the game made a dramatic swing, and his numbers looked gaudy because of it. But
spreading the ball around.
Exactly, spreading Shakir. He had a good year. Davis was hurt most of the year, right?
Gabe Davis, he had it was like week on, week off, week on, week off with him. So, in that being said, let's talk about the Bills wide receiver room at this point. I mean, like
Kincaid
we said,
also.
Kincaid.
Don't forget about Kincaid. He's a great talent.
I think he's going to be an absolutely integral part of 2024 for the Bills. I mean, at wide receiver, their perimeter guys are Justin Shorter and Curtis Samuel. Their slot receiver is Khalil Shakir, which could very well shape up to be a top end. I don't know if I would say top end just yet, but a rising talent in Khalil Shakir as a slot receiver.
I
like him a lot. Josh Allen had his highest completion percentage when targeting Khalil Shakir.
He didn't get a lot of targets though. I remember that but he makes the most of them.
Bingo.
So I do like that about him. It kind of reminds me like a younger kind of Isaiah McKenzie. Like when Isaiah McKenzie got the ball, he was definitely productive, but he just didn't get the ball a lot. So I can see him continuing that legacy.
And these are like with the Bills. I mean, they love to even put their running backs out wide. Like James Cook was running
Yeah.
out wide for
And
a lot of plays.
I remember him not catching a few of those plays too. I distinctly remember.
That's the thing. If he catches them, he looks damn good when he's
Yeah.
doing it.
Wow.
But some of them are so dramatic. Like that drop touchdown against Philly is just burned in
Yeah.
my head.
Yeah.
So and then like you said, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, you can't. This has probably been one of the best rookie seasons ever for a Bills tight end.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's obviously going to be an integral part, first round pick. I mean, he might be their number one wide receiver option as we go into this year. At least start the year.
Remember, I mean, you still have what's the other wide receiver's name?
Mac Hollins,
No.
Andy Isabella,
No, I'm sorry, not wide receiver. Other tight end's name.
Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
Did you reconstruct his contract? Or is he still okay? 'Cause
Yeah, the Bills reconstructed his contract.
I remember he got paid well.
It was, I believe, at the start of this offseason.
Okay. Alright,
So that ended
that
up
makes
freeing
sense.
like $10 million.
Okay, that makes sense because he's been kind of having the last off 2 seasons, so it makes sense.
So yeah, and then obviously there's two sides of this trade. So I want to flip back and talk about the Texans, man. Whoa!
I just seen a thing earlier. They were like, do they have the best wide receiver core? I think it was the NFL. They put a poll out really quick, and I think I liked it. I liked it. And it was like 73% people say that they have the best receiving core in the NFL.
They definitely have a top. I would go as far to say right now, as it stands, they have a top 5 wide receiver room, no doubt.
I agree.
Just
based
I'd
off
have
the
to
names
look.
alone.
I'd have to look and see all the rosters because let's not sleep on Chicago's wide receiver room right now.
Facts. Even the Jets wide receiver room,
Right.
like, what the heck?
I mean, yeah. Take a look at your division alone.
Relax. I mean, Addison's obviously a good player. Jettas is, I think, the best receiver in the league. But but I'm a little bit biased if you had to ask me. But
Yeah, don't
Even-
just ignore the purple hat.
yeah, and then got Detroit. They were ridiculous. If Jameson Williams can play more games, he's unbelievable talent. Then you got St. Brown. He's really good. I even like Reynolds there. I think if he's still there, I can't remember.
He moved on.
He moved on. Oh
Yeah.
well, he's gone. But yeah, I think there's a lot of talent in our division, and it's kind of scary because like that division it really is like wide open. Obviously, a lot of people think Green Bay or obviously Detroit, but they think Green Bay is a rising star because Jordan Love he looked unbelievable his last couple games on that season, and they look like they're clicking, and that wide receiver and it's funny about the Green Bay because like you don't know who's gonna pop off on that team. Just in like it might be Reed, it might be freaking Watson, it might be Dobbs. You just don't know. You don't know. So like, but back to the Texans. The Texans I think they have an unbelievable wide receiver core. Tank Dell was doing great before he got hurt. We got Nico Collins. He's come along. I think he's like a fourth year.
This will be going into his 4th year.
Yeah,
He was
fourth year player. He hasn't really had the opportunities because he hasn't had
poor quarterback play up
poor
until
quarterback
this point.
play. He never got to play with Deshaun. It's been a lot going on over there. So now you got CJ coming into his 2nd year. I'm not, obviously rookies usually have a lot of fun and their numbers are usually okay, but his numbers were almost dang near MVP like numbers.
It's
so
unreal.
now-
I mean, we were
not to mention Joe Mixon's there.
I was just about to say we were talking about this from last year. CJ Stroud was seriously like he could have been a rookie of the year MVP candidate.
Yep.
But to what you were going to say, this offense, I mean,
Do they
wide
still have
receiver core alone.
Damian Pierce there too.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
They have, so let's go at the top down. They have CJ Stroud. Their wide receivers, Tank Dell, Stefon Diggs, Nico Collins. And then that means you have Robert Woods and Noah Brown as your wide receivers 4 and 5.
That's crazy.
That is a deep, deep rune. And that's not even
crazy.
talking about 2nd-round pick from 2022, John Mechie III.
Yeah.
Give him some chance to
Dalton
grow
Schultz.
and continue.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz is their tight end.
He
They
just-
even have Brevin Jordan, which I also really enjoy as a player.
I'm not big on Brevin Jordan.
He's in a great spot being a tight end 2 for a team. And then Joe Mixon, Damian Pierce, like
Weapons galore.
And then a lot of times, like when you see, like Oh, what about the defense? Their defense, they rebuilt it.
Yeah, that they did such a good job, and like obviously they got
Yeah,
Andy-
Tadeko
Will
Autry, Danielle
Anderson last year.
Hunter.
I don't want to talk about that. We got Will Anderson last year too.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
they drafted Will Anderson 2nd overall last year,
So they're not second overall.
or 3rd overall.
They did. CJ was second, and then
Will Anderson was 3rd.
Yeah.
3rd overall. Aziz El-Shaair from Tennessee, that's a huge grab for them to shore up that middle linebacker spot. They traded for Jeff Okudah.
Yeah, they made a lot of. I would say I would go on the lines. You know, we obviously haven't had the draft yet, but they really probably had the best offseason so far. If I got to be honest, they probably had the best offseason. I mean, usually even like I usually end up saying that about the Eagles. Like they always have a really good offseason too.
And
So,
that's not even, like you said, not even to mention their draft.
yeah.
They have 2 seconds, they have a 3rd, 2 4ths, 1, 2, 3 6ths, and 2 7s. So they still have ammo. They have 9 picks
took their first
in this year's draft. Yeah. When you guys traded up, I mean, that trade even being considered, they had their first too, which blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Still had that first. It's crazy.
So
yeah. So
I would go as far to say that the Texans have approached the conversation of premier in the AFC, right along the likes of the Chiefs and the Ravens.
I mean, the AFC South right now is looking
it's
like
theirs.
it's like
It's easy.
And I'm don't get me wrong, I still like the Jags, but like it's really hard to give Trevor Lawrence the full reign. Like, oh yeah, he's going to be the guy because like he's been at times where he's been off and he's been on and then he's been off and then he's on and it's like, and I like him, but it's like it's not. It hasn't been his league for the taking like we thought he was going to be. You know, when we got drafted first round overall. So,
and I mean, their offseason has been, at least on the offensive side, somewhat quiet. I mean, they still are bringing back Travis Etienne. They still have Evan Ingram at tight end. They signed Gabe Davis.
Yeah, and they still have
Christian Kirk.
I'm a big fan of Christian Kirk. I think personally, I mean, obviously Calvin Ridley was there too, but I feel like he got injured last year, but he feels like more the number one on that team for me. Like he just seems like more of a leader on the
Christian
team.
Kirk,
yeah. Even though a lot of people will put him as a second, he just
I remember when they first signed that at the time it was 4-year, $80 million, and people were
looking at him like he's stealing money,
and now
he's stealing money.
And now the Jags have a steal. They knew their guy, and so I agree with you. I think that that Christian Kirk is kind of their wide receiver one right now. Gabe Davis, I think, will do exactly what he did in Buffalo over in Jacksonville, but I don't think that's enough to move the needle. The Texans they look unstoppable in this new look AFC South. Yeah. And I honestly think, especially after the Stefon Diggs trade, they've jumped over Buffalo in terms of how the AFC rankings look.
Are you really gonna say that as a Buffalo fan?
I don't think the Bills are going to win the division this upcoming season. I think this is going to be a wash year for them, me personally.
You gonna get smacked by the Patriots too?
Maybe not the Patriots. Maybe they'll split with the Patriots.
I just want to say Molly was over there snickering. She was like in awe, like no. But I mean, I can kind of understand that. You know, got a lot of competition. Obviously, the Jets, their team, their defense even got better because somehow they decided the Eagles were like, you know what? Let's get rid of one of the best DNs and give them to a defense that's already stacked. But we're not going to talk about that. And then
that quietly happened. Hassan Reddick is now a Jet.
I said, oh no, what is going on? Why? I just was looking like I can't believe that. But I think the Jets are a good team. Aaron Rodgers coming back because we'll see what's going on with that.
Don't forget about Mike Williams.
Oh yeah, Mike Williams is on that team now. You know,
they rebuilt their offensive line, brought in Tyron Smith, John Simpson, and Morgan Moses.
They trying to make a big move, protect Aaron's ankle at all costs. That's what they're basically trying to do. And then there's Miami. Miami is still Miami. Like I personally don't have that much of a confidence in Tua. You know, I think he's just very limited in his position.
I mean, at this point, would it be safe to say with the Bills kind of stepping out for a little bit or retooling, I'll say, is this now Miami's division to lose?
I guess so. I mean, just because the Jets weren't proven. I mean, their defense is still premier, but then their offense has been lackluster. Even when we were watching Hard Knocks last year, they were a bit frustrated. And when Aaron was in and everything, so he got obviously hurt the first game, and they have to reconnect, and it's still gonna be a lot. Aaron's 39 years old or something like that, so
I think 40 now, 41.
40 years old. So we're gonna have to figure out with that. And then Miami, they're full steam ahead. They made a offensive line move. They switched their center. They were having center trouble. It actually cost them like a game or two.
Yep.
Last year.
That is true.
Yeah. So. I think they're making a good move with that. They still got one of the best wide receivers in the game.
I would argue he's like two of the best, two of the top wide receivers.
Good, but also availability is a thing. And Waddle's been having back troubles since for the last 2 years.
That's true. So that is very true.
I think they still can be a great team. They got big names and on the defense. With is Armstead? Do they still have Armstead?
No, they moved on from Armstead. The Jets, no, not the Jets. No, the Titans went and grabbed Eric Armstead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then, but they still, they have Jalen Ramsey.
Oh no, you're thinking of the offense. You're thinking of offensive Terran Armstead, left tackle.
Okay, yeah, my fault. I'm tripping.
There's the left tackle and there's the D tackle.
Yeah, I'm tripping. I'm sorry. But then they went to go grab your boy Poyer. I guess I hope that's a good.
Jordan washed Poyer.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was just trying to be nice here. I mean, he is still in this league, so maybe he could still be good. I don't know. But
he's been wanting to go to Miami for the last 3 years.
Yeah, he should have made that move. Obviously. Shout out to his wife, but I think you might be right there with you said that it's their division to lose. I think they have a good team, but the team is only going to take them as far as Tua can throw them, and Tua can't throw deep.
Let's shift gears.
Tyreek Hill's just waiting for the ball.
He's running too fast for Tua to throw.
Anyways,
let's switch gears, talk about the Vikings a little bit, because now they're in an interesting predicament. I mean, they have picks 11 and 23,
which I'm actually happy about.
Yeah, they got. I mean,
I'll get the second rounder away. I don't care about that. I'd rather
Sam Darnold, Jaron Hall, and Nick Mullins are all competing for that quarterback one spot. Now, do you think they draft a rookie? Do you think they make a bold move? So
that's been the narrative. It seems like been the narrative for at least the last month. I mean, personally, I do want another quarterback. I mean, Jaron Hall. I mean, he didn't really get that much love. Obviously, he got hurt, and then you need the thing about a quarterback is the one thing about a quarterback people forget. You have to be confident, and when you have a lot of people behind you, and your organization doesn't necessarily let you it doesn't let you just work it out and everything. It makes it really hard for you having them to have confidence. And so when Dobbs going in and Hall going in and then Mullins going in, and I'm just like, I don't know what exactly is going to happen, but I do want them to draft a quarterback, and I would like us to be able to move up. But if we don't move up, I'm going to say it. I'll take Pennick.
I was going to say, now if you stay at pick 11, odds are a guy like Michael Penix will still be there. Now 23, you're pushing it a little bit.
I think we'll get him at 23. I think that's what our best bet is. We get him at 23.
I mean, I wouldn't even rule out them pulling
But if
back.
we move up, and it's been the narrative, please don't get JJ McCarthy. Please. Vikings, please. I'm begging. Please don't.
What's
get
wrong
JJ.
with JJ?
No, I don't trust it. I have a problem with organizations when they limit their quarterback. In the college,
it feels like Mac Jones all over
exactly,
again, right?
So, and that's always a thing,
that's
especially
the vibe
in college football. You they know their capabilities of their quarterback, and so they compensate in different other ways. That's why their running game was so good.
You know what? It's the Tom Brady effect. You get a guy that is the fact that he was a Michigan quarterback aside, but you get a guy that might not be the most athletically capable. Mm-hmm. He might not be the biggest guy, the fastest guy, or the strongest guy in the room, but you know what he got? He got a good football IQ.
I'm good, bro. I'm good on that.
You don't want a guy with a good football IQ?
I'm a boomer bust guy. I I want to be the Bills basically. I want to have like Josh Allen when he just got raw talent and just if he works out, he works out.
I'm right there with you. I mean, Michael Penix is the more exciting prospect
Yes.
through and
I
through.
mean, if
me
you can
than
get a
JJ
Jane
McCarthy.
Daniels, I would be remiss. I'll probably cry if I, to be honest. I mean, Drake May, I do like Drake May, but I mean, if I had it my way, and we were able to get a Jane Daniels or a Penix, I would be.
Jaden Daniels would be the dream for Minnesota, but I just don't think he goes past 3. I know people are
If
mocking
we
him
get
out,
3.
but right. And it's like, okay, how much ammo would you have to use to get from 11 to 3?
11 and 23 to get the 3.
I don't think that's enough.
Oh my God! They think we
have to
so
pay.
we have 5 generational.
I was gonna say a
4
second
generational
next year,
quarterbacks?
but they don't have a second next year.
No, it's gone.
Yeah,
No.
second round picks don't exist for Minnesota. So it's like, okay, would you? I guess I'll pose a hypothetical for you. 11, 23, and next year's first to go up to 3.
That's disgusting.
That's probably, and maybe you get a third back for next year
if we give that all away, we can't get 3.
to get Jaden Daniels.
We gotta get 2.
2.
Yeah, we have to
go
get
after
Commanders.
Drake May.
We have no because I don't know I don't necessarily think Drake May is going to be second. He might be third. Then Jane Daniels might go to the Commanders. Like we have to if we're going to make that decision and give away all those first, we have to get our guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't get anybody. You can't get anybody else. You can't be like take that chance and with the 1 and the 2 and the 3. You got to get your guy.
It's got to be a guy they fall in love with.
Yeah,
is
you
what
gotta
you're
get
saying.
your
Yeah.
guy. You can't sit there and be like, oh, we're gonna give up 3 first and feel comfortable. Like, oh, this team might get this person. No, we have to get the guy.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I have to look and see where Minnesota is kind of at, and obviously we won't know their. I don't know if we'll ever know their rankings. I don't know if they'll have Jaden Daniels or Drake May higher. But it kind of becomes more and more evident as we get closer and closer to the draft. I'll be real interested to see how much Washington likes Drake May as a prospect.
We'll see. I mean, to be honest, I liked who was the Commanders quarterback last year? What's the
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. I didn't mind Sam. I know he's young and he made a lot. He would do a lot. I think he would do
a lot of
most
picks.
to
He
Josh.
threw a lot of picks.
But he's just like young, and then and that offense was kind of exciting at some point. I think they even beat the Eagles if I'm not mistaken, and they still trying to figure it out. They obviously have a new coaching staff that came in and everything. They've been sweeping a lot of things around since they even switched ownership. So I think they probably will end up going with Daniels, but I don't know. You never know.
It'll be
I like
really
Drake May
interesting to
too,
see where the research kind of lies and how the draft ends up shaping out leading up to draft day.
Yeah.
One more thing about the Vikings. I mean, hypothetically speaking, they stay put. They use both firsts, and they kind of build on this offense they have. I mean, take a look at this team. They signed Trent Sherfield, and then they also have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. N'Keal Harry is also here, which is also interesting to me. And then
was he also in that draft class? If I'm not mistaken.
he was the
No,
19, I think.
I think it was the year. Yep, 19. Because he was a first round.
And then one of the more head-scratching moves to me throughout this whole offseason, especially for Minnesota, was the 1-year deal for Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
So that kind of has what sprung the question: is Minnesota much more confident
That we're gonna move, we're gonna get in the playoffs and such.
Are they gonna? Do they think they compete with the roster that they have?
I mean, if I gotta be honest, our offensive weapons are lovely. We got, we still got Hopkins, we got Jettas. We still need to sign him for extension. Now, hopefully, make that relatively soon. We got Addison, so he's gonna be on a rookie deal. We have a lot of good players, and I like Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gives you a ability that I feel like we didn't thing we didn't have last year, especially with Madison. He didn't have good hands.
Right.
And so Aaron Jones comes along, and he has good hands. He actually had a great year last year. Now that I think about it, he had especially later in the year he was a very good weapon for Love. So I mean, depending on our quarterback situation, I think you have definitely going to have to ask me come April, like later April, about if they are going to be a very big threat in our division. I don't know.
And then take a look at their defense. I mean, their defense isn't bad. They went and signed a bunch of guys: Jerry Tillery, Jonathan Greenard, Blake Cashman, Andrew Van Ginkel just happened.
Yeah.
That's happened today.
I've not seen that too. I've been trying to not be big on names anymore.
Yeah.
Especially my defense. Cause I've had the pleasure of having a lot of good players as a Vikings, throughout the past year. A lot of Pro Bowlers and everything, and then we've been struggling defense wise in our secondary. Our secondary has been taking a hit for at least since Xavier Rhodes left us. So like that was a long time ago. That was like 2018.
Remember his stint on the Bills?
Oh, he was on the Bills. Yes. So like we've been struggling, especially with that cornerback position. We drafted safety after safety, cornerback after cornerback, and it just hasn't worked out. So, I mean, like the names.
Does that become more of a coaching thing?
Got to be something. If you're struggling for going on 6 years in your secondary,
he's going into his second. Brian Flores is going into his second season as defensive coordinator. How do you feel about him so far?
How do you sue the NFL and still be in the NFL? Can anybody explain that to me? I didn't know you could sue your job and still work somewhere.
That's a big. I respect it.
I was like, whatever. But I mean, Flores, he did actually step us up in our defense last year. We didn't give up as many points as like we were at one from the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, it was tough. Because I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but Kirk Cousins was having a great year. We were averaging like almost 20, I think 24, three touchdowns a game, and at one point before Kirk got hurt and everything, and it was a very exciting football. But our defense was like I think bottom 5 as far as getting scored on. It was bad.
Right.
It was bad. So he definitely stepped it up in the second half of the year. I mean, hopefully we can continue upon that. I mean, last year was really tough to watch. I mean, especially I'm not going to front to you. I hate losing division games. Like that is my utmost. It just makes me cringe. It hurts my soul so bad. So obviously to lose to Green Bay later in the year and then lose I think Chicago, it's just like disheartening. I don't want to lose to these teams, bro. I don't care about losing other. Well, I do care about, but like losing to the division games is just.
I was gonna say, where do you think they rank in this?
The defense.
The team as a whole in the division.
The team as a whole.
What spot are they finishing in?
I can give you second, maybe.
Second.
Maybe. No, okay, maybe third. Second, third. It depends. It depends on where Green Bay is looking. I know Detroit's going to be Detroit. I think Detroit is not like I don't want them to be good, but I think Detroit is Detroit is good.
Yeah, I think Detroit's the best team.
They beat us back. They beat us both games and everything. Detroit is the good team, but hopefully Jordan Love's going into his second year technically.
Starting.
So hopefully maybe he's still good. Maybe he just continues on upon what he was already building. And then Chicago, they were trying to figure out their thing. They're going to get Caleb. They're going to have a good offense, but they made a few defensive moves, and then maybe they get it going. But it's Chicago at the end of the day. We're talking about Chicago. So Minnesota, we have our on and off years. The worst thing about it, we never end up with a top 10 pick almost ever, and it's the worst thing ever. We always end up like 8-8, or
they give you just enough hope to
make the playoffs. We're like, hey, we're gonna. It's just irritating. I would love to be like sit here confident and be like, my team got a top 5 pick, and like we just like we're ready to make a big move, and it's just like, but we never do. So it is what it is.
So yeah, I mean I think that this division is going to be competitive on 2 halves. It's going to be draft position between the Vikings and the Bears, and glory for the Packers and the Lions. That being said, I think that Minnesota's first-round pick next year is going to be pretty valuable.
Thanks. I agree with you.
So when we're talking about moving a first next year, you got to keep that in mind.
That's why, like I said, you got to get your guy.
Exactly. You
But-
got to be real sure that this is going to be your guy.
But also, that's not saying that. Don't want to say this. You know what I'm about to say, right?
Say it.
We might trade Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
We might end up trading Jefferson for like
I
two
mean,
first.
I was going to say it'd have to be something
yeah,
like
we
two
would
firsts.
we would literally like we would be set up for the future, but I would
At what cost?
I would
you know?
I would throw up. I would literally, but I can see him going to a few teams. Like it's just like it's first of all. He deserves to be the highest paid player, wide receiver in the league.
Yep.
It's not no ifs but about it. He hasn't had
He'll
a
break the market for sure.
He hasn't had a year under 1,000 yards, and he missed 8 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like what else can you say about this man? He got 12, 14, 18, and 1,000 yards. You can't say anything like he's not a good productive player. So he's gonna want to make over 30. Close to 35
You're
million.
right. You're right there on the money. It's
Yes.
going to be a $30 to $35
Yeah,
million
so
deal.
I've been looking it up. I know what he wants. We have the funds. I know we do, but we just making it so much difficult because we don't know our future, and so I can see him going to a team like a Chargers. Like say we made that trade today, we would be able to get a Malik Neighbors. And you know what I mean? Like we would be able to trade him, get a first. You know what I mean? I mean, we probably have to give up that 23rd, and maybe have a 5 and 11, and give you know what I mean? I can see that happening, and it would hurt my soul. But but I know my future. We have a better secure future. You know what I mean? So
I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm just looking at cap hits for this year and wide receivers specifically.
Yeah.
Number 1 being Tyreek Hill, number 2 being Cooper Kupp, number 3 being Deebo Samuel.
What about Adam? Adam.
Devontae Adams is in 5th.
Okay.
Chris Godwin actually has a little bit higher of a cap hit. So Tyreek Hill is making $31 million a year as the highest paid wide receiver in the league right now. You're right. It's going to be like 35.
Yeah, I know.
35 a year. It's going to be probably.
And I would expect him to.
He's probably seeking a 3-year, $110 million deal.
Or 4-year.
It could be 4 year.
140. I could see that happening. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, and act like I'm like not oblivious to what this man. He deserves every bit of money he's supposed to get. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, this guy. Well, like there's players like, think for the team or take a sacrifice for the team. No, this man was on his rookie deal. This is his second contract. Get as much money as you can. I can't get mad at that. I would never want to be like, I don't get your money. No, I just can't be like that. I know how hard they play and how much they sacrifice for their body. I can't. So if he was to want to go to a different team, and this also says values about his legacy because he would probably want to go to a team that's going to be competing. So I can't see him not going to a team that's going to be
Houston.
Good. Houston, if like a KC or
I don't want to.
I know nobody wants him to go to KC, but
that's like
it could happen.
That's like if Thanos got his last Infinity Stone.
Yes.
I mean,
so like going to a KC or like I said, the Chargers. A team that maybe a New Orleans. They just they recently got rid of Thomas, and they obviously they have Olave and stuff like that, but like he's still on a rookie deal, so they have
Saints is
options.
interesting. Yeah. That is interesting.
They have options. It's just like I don't want him to leave, but I can understand.
At the end of the day, it could be worse. You could be the Browns paying $63 million to Deshaun Watson this year.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson might step it up. Honestly, you never know. Like. No, you don't. Do you think it's over?
I think it's over.
Stinker, just gonna stink it up.
It's over. Yeah, I don't.
Magic is gone.
It's gone. Yeah. He ran out of magic. All right.
Houdini, right.
I wonder why. Moving on. Lastly, before we go, do you have a crazy NFL draft prediction? What's your boldest take? What's the craziest thing that's gonna? Every year, there's something that shakes up the draft. Putting you on the spot. I didn't tell you this was gonna happen before.
Caleb Williams doesn't go for. No, I'm kidding.
That's too bold. Too bold.
As far as a draft prediction of who's like what's going on, I mean, I can see. I feel like I was just saying, I like Malik Neighbors actually better than Marvin Harrison, so I can see him probably going before him. And then also, I can see Joe Alt going even above the top 3.
Go who? Joe Alt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see him doing that.
Top 3, Joe Alt.
Yes, I can see that happening.
Do you think a team trades up for him, or does Arizona take him at 3?
Maybe Arizona takes him.
Or, sorry, Arizona has 4. You
Fault.
think the Patriots could take him at 3?
Maybe. I don't like. It just depends. Like I don't know where organizations are. Like some organizations are like solidified, and then some are just literally when the turnover of like the GMs, like we were just saying, New England doesn't have a GM right now, right?
No. So it's like, okay, do they want to grab a quarterback without a GM?
Yeah. Like what are we doing? Like Joel, he's a generational talent, so like it's like. I don't know. We will figure it out.
Joe Alt to 3 to the Patriots.
Maybe 3 or 4.
That is a pretty bold take.
3 or 4.
I see it.
So, because I think a lot of mocks have Marvin Harrison going to Arizona too. So we will see.
We will see indeed. And Taj, thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Big Yak. This is like my 4th time.
Yeah, you're like an honorary.
I was
co-host.
the first. I was the first.
OG guest right here.
I want to say something crazy like Kanye or something like that. You don't have the answers, Nico. You don't have the answers. I put my money into it, Nico. I'm kidding.
Got blood, sweat, and tears into this.
But all right, it was great times.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you for joining for the emergency broadcast on a Thursday night special of the Big Yak Podcast. It is I, Nico Stanley, and I will see you guys 1 or 2 more times before we get into the draft. Next episode, you'll see me unveil my first mock draft of the season.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.
Peace. How was the episode?